Hi everybody, welcome to Money's Inspired Creations. I am Money and this is my channel. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, hit that bell, comment down below your thoughts on this video, and definitely do like this video. Sorry I haven't been on the last few days. I took a well-needed minication. I did go up to Lake Tahoe, Nevada this weekend, so I got some fresh air. And that's what this video is actually going to be about, the importance of being in nature. So for most of us, we spend our daily lives on the 9-to-5 work grind. And not everybody works 9 to 5, but usually most of us are working some sort of part-time or full-time job, Monday through Friday, Saturday through Sunday, whatever time that you're working, you're constantly on that work grind. And that's very draining. Especially if you're constantly working, or now that we're in shelter-in-place orders, a lot of us are still working from home on our computers. And so it becomes very strenuous and very stressful for our mental and also our physical well-being, being stuck in one area constantly. So it is important that you do take time to go outside in nature once in a while. It could be as simple as taking a 5-minute walk around the block. The sun is filled with vitamins, nutrients, the sunlight, it gets into your skin and you're filled with vitamin D. And that's something that we all need. It'll make you feel better, it'll make you feel like you have energy. And staying indoors all the time is not gonna cut it for that. If you're indoors constantly, you're gonna lose all your vitamin D. You're gonna be vitamin D deficient, and that's going to make it easier for you to get sick, because vitamin D is going to help you have a built-up immune system. So if you're deficient in vitamin D, it's going to make it easier for you to catch flus and colds, especially with the coming flu season. It is October, right? Do you boo? Happy Halloween, my favorite time of the year, as a lot of people already know. So please do, everybody, go outside, take some time to go outside and sit in the sun for a while. You'll feel much better. Even if you don't like the heat, even if you prefer cloudy days like myself, I'm the type of person that just loves going outside when it's nice and cloudy, when there's a chill to the air, fall weather. I don't really like being outside in the sun. It's really hot. I come from a location in California where it's like the heater is on constantly, whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall, it's always hot. And the only time of the year that it actually became somewhat coldish weather was during the fall and early winter months. In the morning it's below 20 degrees and I would love it. I'd be like, oh my God, it's so cold. I love it. And the sun would be, behind the clouds. But still, make sure that you do go outside. Even if you have weather where it's underneath the clouds like that, you're still getting vitamin D, you're still out in nature. And let's talk about mental health for a little bit. So if you're out in nature, nature is healing. We all come from nature in one way or another. Everything that you can find around you came from nature. So any disease, anything that needs to have a cure, the cure can always be found in nature, 100% of the time. And I know there's a lot of people out there that'll be like, oh, the doctor says, you get a vaccine, get some pills, No, those are synthetic. We were placed on this earth for a reason. And any sort of sickness that anybody could possibly have, there's always a cure to be found in nature. You take your vitamins, you take your minerals, you drink lots of water, you eat healthy, you are going to not get sick. Because you are going to be healthy. You're going to have an immune system. You're going to be able to go out there and everybody's going to be sick around you and you'll be only having a slight chance of getting sick. Why? Because you're healthy. Now, if you're out there drinking sodas constantly, eating a lot of man-made sugars rather than natural sugars, if you're eating fast food, if your diet is high in cholesterols, you're gonna get sick easier because you're not taking care of your body. You're not healthy in any way, shape, or form. I don't care if you're eating your fast food, right? And then you're like, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna work it off. Gotta lift some weights. Gotta go for my run because that's healthy. That's just, healthy for your mind and helping you to get into somewhat shape. But you're not healthy because if you're not putting the correct food and nutrition into your body, it doesn't matter how much you work out, you're never going to be in your optimal condition. There's always going to be a part of you that's just not healthy at all. So definitely vitamins, minerals, water, plenty of rest, but not too much, and getting outside in the sun. Okay? A nice little walk is actually better for you than a run. Because when you're running, you're putting strain on your muscles and also on your your ligaments and that. You're putting extra strain that you don't need to on parts of your leg. I did sports for most of my life. And I gotta say, I'm pretty young, but my body is pretty messed up. Okay, I was literally doing some sort of exercise sport 7 days a week for most of my life. And it hurts. It literally hurts for me to get up and move around nowadays. And, you'll have those gym enthusiasts or whatever. They'll be like, oh yeah, you're out of shape or whatever. Actually, I'm in the best shape that I have been in. Even though I was working out 7 days a week, I did not feel good. I was super skinny. I went into college at 115 pounds. I was skin and bone. You could take your fingers and then put them my rib cage. You can put them under my rib cage back then. There was a lot of times that I really felt like I probably wouldn't make it to the next day. I also didn't eat properly growing up, and it wasn't readily available, the foods that my body needs. And I know a lot of people out there don't have access to the foods that they need. But what can help is if you actually cut back on the foods that you don't need. Most of us here that are probably watching this video right now live in the United States, where it's carbohydrate, everything is fake. None of the food is good for you. And if you want to spend money on good food, you're going to have a hefty price to get actual good food. Or you can always go to a farmer's market, but that still costs more money. And for those of you that are struggling on the dime, you're give or take. What do I do? Do I get this because I want it, because I know it's healthy and it's good for me? Or do I get this because it's cheaper? Most of us, if we're struggling with money, we're going to go with what's cheaper because, it's going to fill us and it's food. But we shouldn't. But we have to make do with what we have. So, short little on my trip to Lake Tahoe. I didn't get to enjoy it like I wanted to, but it was only a single day trip to Tahoe. It felt wonderful being out of the city completely and being up in the mountains. I thought that was great. The air is different up there. The weather, oh my gosh, it's wonderful up there. Even at night, it started to get really chilly because the wind was blowing really hard and fast. And I wasn't exactly prepared. I didn't really bring the right clothing that I normally would bring to Lake Tahoe, but I knew I was only going to be there for 1 day, so it didn't matter. But yeah, just going up there at night, I looked up at the stars, and all I saw across the sky were the stars. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I really wish that I could live here all the time, or at least in a location like this where it's high up in the mountains, where it's cold. I have to have my cold weather. And where I can see the stars. Out where I live currently and where I grew up, it's actually difficult to see the stars. It's easier to see where I grew up because it's more in the country than the city. But you still don't get to see even half of the stars that you get to see when you're in the mountains. And for me, just being able to sit out on the balcony and look up at the stars for like a good half an hour and 45 minutes, it was enough for me to be like, I'm relaxed, I'm rejuvenated, I'm getting fresh air, I'm able to breathe, and it was very relaxing. I also spent some time at Lake Tahoe Beach. I know that's not the name of the actual beach I was at. I don't know the name, but it was in South Lake Tahoe. Where I was at, it wasn't really sand, it was more so rock, like ground up pieces of rock. And it actually hurt my feet really bad walking on it, but I did have a good time. I rolled up my pants. I didn't bring my swimsuit with me at that moment, and I didn't feel like going back to the car to put it on. So I just walked into the water, rolled up my pants as high as I could go, and just kind of walked out into the water a little bit. At first it was really cold, right? It's Lake Tahoe, it's in the fall, and you're up in the mountains. So the water was pretty cold, but once my feet adjusted, then, the rest of my body was fine. And spending time in the water too was really relaxing, and it was really nice. I was able to find some rocks and crystals. I forgot them actually. I don't have them with me right now, but I forgot them at a family member's house, so I'll have to go get them, and maybe one time I can show them to you all, what I found in Lake Tahoe. But do make sure if you take anything from nature that you are thankful for it, and you ask permission before you do. Don't just take. Don't ever do that. Would you like it if somebody came up to you, went to your house, and was like, oh yeah, that thing over there, I really like it, I'm gonna take it, rather than being like, hey, I know that's yours, I know you really like it, but I like it too. Is it any way possible that maybe possibly you can give it to me, maybe for Christmas, birthday, something like that? So the same thing with nature. If there's ever anything that you want from nature, please make sure to ask permission first, and then say thank you after you take it. Otherwise, you're stealing. And who are you to steal something? Like, everything's alive. We're all alive. And I know you wouldn't want someone to steal from you either. But spending time in nature is really good for your health, especially mentally and spiritually. And I highly recommend taking a few days just to relax and get away from your everyday life. Even if it means you have to go, like, you don't have vacation time or you don't have time off, but you still have to work. Even if it means you literally have to take your work with you and go somewhere, I highly suggest you do that, because especially during this time, things are going to be stressful. We are in Mercury Retrograde right now, so, don't mind my sometimes backwards speech for the next couple weeks. Also with other people, don't mind, like, conversations might not be coming across the way they should be, and that's just because Mercury is in retrograde. So when Mercury is in retrograde, communication is not exactly the best on all parties involved. There could be stressful situations. Don't sign any contracts, and if you have to sign a contract for sometime between the next 3 weeks, make sure you read and double read and triple read before you actually sign, because you might be getting yourself into a situation that you don't want to be in later on. Yeah, don't do it. Just don't. Mercury retrograde, going direct in November after the election. So for the next couple weeks, make sure you take a deep breath and communicate the way you want to. Otherwise, if you have any serious conversations with someone, it's probably not going to turn out the best situation. So if you have any relationship decisions to make or something like that, if you have to talk about it, do so, but don't make any super major decisions about your relationship or your finances, work, anything like that within the next 3 weeks. And if you really have to, just take some time to think about it before you talk about it. Yes, take some time in nature. That also helps during retrograde too. You help relax, connect to nature, ground. If you don't know what grounding is, it's connecting to earth and basically any way that is right for you. Some people like to walk around barefoot. When I was in Tahoe, I did that. You know, when I was on the beach, I was barefoot. Then I walked to the car barefoot. I actually sat in like a little meadow area next to the car for a while, and I meditated under the sun. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today. So if you have any comments, if you've been to Tahoe, you want to talk about that, please leave them below and I will get back to you. Bye.